I was a new nurse at our hospital and had only been working there for a couple of months. I had brought a patient of mine up to day surgery from the ER for an endoscopy, and they called back down and asked me to bring her family up because she only spoke Italian and not enough English, and they needed someone to consent for the procedure. After dropping them off, I walked past the waiting room to head back down the hall to the elevators. I took the back way to get to the ER, and those hallways are always deserted. It used to be the pediatric wing of the hospital, but that's all been shut down for years and the rooms are just empty and full of broken equipment and beds and crap like that. As I reached the old nurse's station at the T-junction between the pediatric hallway and the hallway that goes to the elevators, I saw a little girl standing across from the nurse's station further down the hall. She had big pigtails, was wearing a brown dress, white shoes, holding a teddy bear. I thought perhaps she was a family member who walked away from the day surgery waiting room. I was concerned that she would go into one of the rooms and get hurt or lost, so I said, "Hey little girl, what are you doing? You don't need to be over there, you're going to get hurt." And I walked around the nursing station to go grab her hand and bring her back. I shit you not, as I reached there, she vanished as I got about 15 feet away from her. Every hair on my body stood up straight, and I turned around and ran like a bat out of hell down to the elevator. I pounded that button for what seemed like an eternity until the elevator got to the floor. As I got back to the ER, I walked up to the nurse's desk, and one of the older nurses looked at me and said, "Jesus Christ, what the hell is wrong with you?" I remember babbling like an idiot as I tried to tell them what happened, but nothing came out of my mouth. After listening to me for a moment or two, the nurse said, "Oh, you saw the little girl ghost? She's been here for around 4 years. Apparently, the ghost has even been seen down in the ER, ducking in and out of the patients' rooms and peeking around curtains." My wife worked up on the 7th floor, and she said that one time, on nights, a whole row of patients' rooms started yelling about a little girl that was running around in the rooms. This incident did really freak me out. I was working in the NICU when we had a threat of a tornado. Some nurses got pulled to go to a sister hospital in the town to assist in the disaster plan. When all was over, one of the nurses returned with this story. She was assisting the nurses in giving some meds before pulling all into the hallways. Every person she went to said they already had their meds from the nice nurse in the white uniform and hat. She realized after she left that it's been a while since a nurse had worn a hat. That story revealed the urban legend of Nurse Betty. Story goes, she had an affair with a married MD, became pregnant, then agreed to allow him to perform an abortion on her on the 7th floor, or room as you call it. She died and he went to jail. She never left the hospital, or at least her spirit did, and was seen very frequently. The local newspaper would do an article of her every year on Halloween on her sightings. The hospital has since been replaced with college dorms, but I wonder if any of the students have ever seen her. The story of Rocking Mary. We closed room 12 in our MICU because just about every patient that has been there since Mary died complains about seeing a woman in a white dress wearing white hat and rocking back and forth beside their bed. Apparently, this nun never makes eye contact, just stares outside the window, which happens to be on the patient's left side over their head. This window overlooks the hospital cemetery where nuns that have died were buried. Mary was a nun that died of a car accident outside the hospital back in the 1950s. She was only about 30 years old, and all patients describe her as a young woman. We all thought that it was the sundown syndrome. Anyways, since then, room 12 has become our storage room, where no one goes in by themselves unless it's absolutely critical.